So, ladies and gentlemen, audience of DevTV, so we're here with an amazing man in economic development. He has worked across all sorts of projects, and he's here to really explain to us the importance of monitoring and evaluation. Very often, the way implementers such as myself view monitoring and evaluation is not really what it ought to be. So hopefully after this conversation we'll have a very clear idea of exactly what it is that we ought to be doing as implementers, and how we should be incorporating monitoring and evaluation into how we implement our projects. So welcome, Mr. Mohammed.
Thank you very much, Habib. My name is Mohammed Doko. I am an M&E practitioner. I have been in the business of M&E for almost 12 years, more than that at least. Thank you, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you very much. So, as I said in the introduction, some of the issues that we have as implementers. First of all, the description even that we call implementers technical people, and then we call M&E, right? Mm-hmm. Is it reasonable to assume that that is really a major flaw, because we are all technical? Because obviously M&E is very technical, mm-hmm. and implementers like myself, I'm not quite sure if technical is the right description for what we do. So what do you think?
I think I'll start with the M&E practitioners themselves in the first instance, because we need to demystify M&E itself. People look at M&E with some degree of fear. When they hear M&E, they first think about policing.
Auditors.
You are looking at what we are supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. Who the hell are you to be doing that? Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, that should not be so. And M&E practitioners, I think, take pride in so being observed as people to be afraid of, people to be scared of. And that's why the so-called technical people draw a line between themselves and the M&E, because they don't see themselves as co-travelers heading towards one common result that the organization is tasked to achieve. So I will start with M&E practitioners to begin to look at themselves as co-travelers within a confine of the result that the organization is expected to achieve. Having said that, once you address your mind to the fact that you are all aiming towards one objective, then you will make yourself simple enough to be approached and to be asked. Because M&E is key in every organization. And to buttress that point, the M&E practitioner needs to understand what is to be delivered more than the person that is delivering it, so that he can guide him, because he is the one that will be interpreting the result in with the support of the person implementing the program itself. But where an M&E sits, like I was in a discussion this morning, and my friend was telling me that in their project, the project managers will bring up the result to the M&E practitioners. M&E practitioner will look at it and say, no, this is not good enough. No, that is not good enough.
So like a teacher.
And I said, what is that? There are two things that can happen: the process and the result. Is there a link between the two? Mm. If there's none, let's find the missing gap. And together, we will fix the missing gap with a narrative. But it is not the place of an M&E person to ever say result is wrong or result is right. What is his justification? What school? Where was he taught?
So I mean, that's such an important point, though. You know, the relationship between the implementers and the M&E.
Yeah, M&E practitioners. Yes.
M&E practitioners. So implementers, for instance, just see that it's almost as though you have to provide proof for M&E for you to be allowed to move up your logical or results chain.
And which is not supposed to be. It's supposed to be a discussion as we're having now, you present to me, in fact, you're not even supposed to present to me. I'm supposed to be in the know of what you're doing because I am monitoring every stage of your intervention. We will have discussions from time to time. I would probably say, okay, we have milestones. Have you achieved this milestone? All you need to tell me is yes or no. And then I ask you another follow-up question. What kind of evidence can you provide to me that will satisfy your answer that yes, you have achieved that milestone? Once you provide that evidence, I have two objectives. One is to go to the field to ensure that it is the way you presented it. It could be more, it could be less. Then I would then have to come back to you again. This is what I found in the field. Do you agree with it? If you don't agree, we either go back to the field together or you provide to me justification why you think it is the way you think it is.
Right.
And your justification I will document and present again at a larger forum. You're not the only technical person around. So there's going to be a larger forum for us to debate whatever it is that we're presenting. We're not serving ourselves, we're serving people.
True.
And other people will definitely look into our results. The logical progression between what we call result and what is our target is the documentation. Is the documentation logical enough for anybody to
follow?
Once it is so, you don't have any more problem.
So do you then think that the problem really is in the way project recruits implementers, the way maybe the way even donors design projects in such a way that the log frame, for instance, is the purview of the M&E practitioner, and the implementers really just get to hear from the M&E to say, okay, these are the numbers we're chasing, and this is how it's put together. And is that where this problem is? Is it because that where implementers are not brought along, or the orientation as far as monitoring and evaluation is concerned is not enough, it's weak? Or is it that, would you say it would be a requirement for implementers to spend substantial time understanding what happens in the M&E for them to become implementers?
I think I go back to my first point of we demystifying ourselves. Because you said log frame being owned by M&E. That's not true. Log frame is owned by implementers.
Right.
Because it is the target that they are trying to achieve. It is not the M&E practitioner that is trying to achieve those targets.
True.
So how come that we have left the log frame to the
M&E
M&E practitioners? So there's a problem there already. Right. And another problem that I see in follow-up to the question you ask about whether the recruitment was rightly done or wrongly done. Yeah, it could be not. But even if it is wrongly done or rightly done, what is very clear that should happen is the ownership of the result or ownership of the target right from the beginning. In several organizations, there are managements. There are so-called senior management, and there are others. So the senior management tend to keep the ownership of the result and away from the others.
Right.
So everybody just sit and wait for the management to do what they want, or the M&E to do what they want. Nobody actively took part in seeing the progression to the result. So every organization should seek to ensure that everybody is carried along and everybody belongs in the search for the result.
Okay, so if I'm to summarize the points you've made so far.
Yes.
So first of all, M&E practitioners themselves need to behave slightly differently.
Yes,
They
themselves.
need to be a bit more open,
Yes.
and a bit more accepting of people like me that are not particularly M&E oriented.
Yes.
And the other thing, the other bit is that practitioners like me, or implementers like me, should own the log frame.
Yes.
And that's after.
Should be part of owning the log frame.
Should be part of owning the
ownership of them. Owners of the log frame.
And the management should open this up, because we are all in it together. We're here to achieve the same thing.
Yes.
So therefore, the idea of holding the log frame at the management level, or just
the results, the interpretation of the result that is owned at the management level should be allowed to trickle down.
Okay.
So everybody should feel part of bringing about the result.
Okay.
Everybody should be actively engaged in the process.
Okay.
There should be regular dissemination, regular debrief meetings, at least, if not weekly, maybe monthly, so that we all review what we have achieved and how did we do it. And then the people that played key roles should be recognized, so that others can also feel gingered and be part of it and want to be recognized in the follow-up meetings.
So there's a question that always bothers me with M&E, right?
Yeah.
And the question is this, right? Do implementers need to have a deeper understanding of the M&E process, or what M&E is? Because some of us view it as auditors coming to audit what we've done. Some of us feel that, okay, you know what? As long as the M&E is happy with whatever it is I'm doing, even though it might be slightly at odds with what's happening in the market that I'm working on, as long as the M&E is happy, I'm happy. Then everything is good. So I see it as a weakness on the part of the implementers that can be addressed by either a formal orientation where we go not just 1 or 2 hours, where we go like a week deep into what happens in terms of M&E and how we can incorporate that into the way we work. Or do you think it's like a continuous learning that needs to happen throughout the project?
I think intrinsically we are all M&E experts in our own right already. It's just some of us are because we've been in it longer and specialized in it. But let me give you an example. When you came from home today to this place, if I ask you to recount for me the processes from the time you left your home getting here, when you left you had a target, you're coming here. You knew before you left how you're going to get here. You knew what you're going to do when you get here. You're already doing M&E. So there is nothing very special about saying that people should be trained in M&E. It's a matter of interest.
Right.
There are special trainings, quite all right, but rudimentarily, that's a level that everybody needs to achieve in M&E, and that level is just picking up interest in what you are doing and documenting carefully what you are doing based on the objective that you want to achieve. So program managers, technical people already have some degree of M&E knowledge. It's just that they don't want to appreciate that they do have that knowledge.
Right.
So some of us that are specialists, because we took longer practicing it and then we took some special courses.
Yes.
So as partners, we can support each other. We can guide each other how to identify the key results that we're looking for and how to fulfill that objective that the log frame is asking us to.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, by what you've just said, right? So it appears that in order for you to have a good economic development project, it's important that these two major part of the project, this is maybe it should not be separate even. It should be just one implementing team that have different specialists within it.
Yeah, around the table, yes.
So you have the monitor and evaluation specialist, and then you have the implementers.
Yeah,
so people should just own everything together and work together continuously.
Yes.
As opposed to people like me who go out, do the implementation, and then come back to see whether or not I've met the M&E. Okay,
no, I can give you an example of BIF, Business Innovation Facility, where I work. If an idea is being mooted, you have the M&E around the table. From the initial stage of thinking through the idea, to piloting it, to scaling it up, the M&E is involved right from the beginning. And what is M&E doing is simply advising how that initiative or how that idea can contribute to the achievement of the goals.
Right.
Right. So it's not as it's practiced in the past that ideas are muted, implemented, and M&Es are called in, go and do the counting.
Yeah.
How will he do the counting if he doesn't understand the thinking behind the implementation itself? For instance, I can give you a typical example of milk hygiene and pasteurization. Milk hygiene and pasteurization, let me digress a little bit. The objective of BIF is to increase the income of the poor. Right. The pastoralist that does milk hygiene and pasteurization, previously, we cook the milk, we heat the milk, and then some quantity of the milk will be burnt because of direct contact with fire. So BIF came and said, okay, you pasteurize it through indirect heating. So if you heat indirectly, you're not going to lose any quantity of milk. You have some milk. So when the idea was muted, the first question that you ask yourself, how will this increase the income of the pastoralist? But then if you are your policeman M&E, you will say, no, this doesn't fit in. But you're forgetting the fact that the quantity that was previously burnt is now available to increase as increase for the quantity that the pastoralists will sell in the market. So in essence, what I'm trying to say is there's wisdom in the M&E sitting around the table to understand the thinking from the beginning, rather than calling him at the end to say, go and count.
So, and that's essentially what you would you say that's what Business Innovation Facility in Nigeria did particularly well, incorporating M&E into planning, decision, and as intervention progresses and pattern connections and so on.
Absolutely, absolutely. And not only Business Innovation Facility, I know several development programs now that incorporate M&E into the implementation processes from the beginning. And they are all doing wonderfully well because it's a discussion, right? Because if you leave it to the last, there won't be time for discussion.
Yes.
There's simply no time for discussion. And having agreed that you are engaging the services of M&E specialist, then you have to abide by what he said. But if you travel together right from beginning, you have the opportunity of challenging what the M&E practitioner provides. You challenge it, you discuss it, and then you come to an agreement. Yeah.
Brilliant. Mr. Doko, thank you very much. Thank you. This has been enlightening, and I hope DevTV audience, especially the implementers like myself, I hope this inspires you to be a bit more friendly and really take on M&E as part of your work. At least start deepen the relationship between you and your M&E practitioner in your project. So thank you very much for watching this, and we hopefully will see you next time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.